Good morning, everyone. Welcome to FREEWrite Friday. My name is Jessica Lynn Johnson, and I am the founder and CEO of Soaring Solo Studios, for those of you who don't know me. Soaring Solo is a company that's dedicated to the direction and development of one-person plays, and I have a background as a solo artist myself. I toured for 13 years with 2 solo shows, and now I direct and develop solo shows full time. I have about well over 100 solo shows under my belt that I've had the privilege of working on. I am also on the submission screening panel with the LA Women's Theater Festival and their advisory board. I'm a blogger for NoHo Arts, where I write all about solo theater tips, tricks, and tools for solo artists. So that's a little bit about me, if you're not familiar with me. And I'd love to hear from you as well. So feel free to write in the chat where you're tuning in from, where you're at in your solo theater journey, and say hi to one another. And the mission of FREEWrite Friday is really just an opportunity for us all to get together in a safe, supportive, creative community and make some significant progress on your solo shows, one FREEWrite at a time. And we are going to be breaking down the structure of playwriting specifically for solo theater and what that looks like and what some different options are as you're approaching your solo show so that it has some structure. And if you missed any of the previous FREEWrite Fridays, I always upload them to my YouTube channel right after this Zoom call. So you can go to YouTube and find those. And I'll put my link to my YouTube channel in the chat later on, as well as some other announcements. The next FREEWrite Friday, if you want to go ahead and mark your calendar, is July 30th. So that's Friday, July 30th. That's again happening at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Central, and noon Eastern. And you can RSVP on my website for that. I just put it up this morning, so you can log into my website and sign up. A little bit of housekeeping. If you are going to be doing anything distracting, I would suggest that you turn your cameras off. Otherwise, enjoy. And please make sure that you have something nearby you to write with and write on. As soon as I'm done going through the lecture portion of today, I am going to open the floor for you guys to write for several minutes. So just make sure you have something nearby you to write with and write on. Okay. So I also wanted to mention, if you're just joining Soaring Solo right now for FREEWrite Friday and you missed all of Isolate, Meditate, Create, which was a program that we did all throughout the pandemic, where we infused meditation and visualization to write our solo shows, I would really encourage you to go back and watch a lot of those. I have over 120 videos of meditation and visualization to help you write your solo shows from more of a subconscious mind, creative intuition led space, more of a heart space than a head space. Because what we're going to do in FREEWrite Friday is much more heady. It's much more about structure, which is great, and that's important too. But these things that I'm going to teach you in FREEWrite Friday can really be applied to all the writing that you did during Isolate, Meditate, Create, because now you'll have your pieces, your mosaic pieces, as I like to say, from Isolate, Meditate, Create, and then this structure you can apply to those and figure out how to shape and structure your show. Not to say if you're joining in for FREEWrite Friday and haven't done that, that this is a waste of your time. It's all beneficial and it's great to know all these things. But I just want to say, make sure you have that balance as you're creating between head and heart. Both are going to be really instrumental in creating your solo show. Okay, so on with FREEWrite Friday. So today we're going to focus on what is the inciting incident of your solo show. What is the inciting incident of your solo show? So many of you are probably familiar with that term, inciting incident, when you think about screenwriting or basic playwriting, for ensemble theater or television or things like that. But for our solo shows, a lot of times, especially if it's autobiographical, and sometimes even if it's biographical and we're too close to the person that we're writing about, it can be really hard for us to step outside of our story and see what the actual inciting incident was, or even think of our life in terms of playwriting structure. So that's the whole point of having this conversation today, is starting to wrap your brain around your own story and where your inciting incident took place. What was it? So some elements of an inciting incident are typically that it happens early on. It's one of the first things that happens in the solo show. Certainly you can play with that, and people break that rule sometimes, and it does happen later, but then you run the risk of boring your audience if there's too much exposition. And that's often when you're sitting in a show and you're asking yourself, what is this about? What is this show about? I feel like it's completely anecdotal and random, and they're just telling me things that I have no idea how to contextualize. They probably haven't given you a strong inciting incident, so you don't know what it is that you're on a quest for or on a journey about. The other thing that you'd want to keep in mind with an inciting incident, it is that it's an event that really pushes your protagonist outside of their comfort zone. It takes them out of their norm and into the abnormal, into an adventure or a call to action or something like that. And it can oftentimes seem really negative. It doesn't always have to be negative. It can seem like a good thing too, but a lot of times the inciting incident does have more of an ominous, scary tone to it that the protagonist has to face. So for instance, I'll give you some examples. Johnny Ray, who's a member of the Soaring Solo community, at the very start of his solo show after the fall, there's an accident. There is a fire, a plane hits his building, and he has to jump out of his third-story apartment to save his life. So obviously that accident changed everything. It changed everything about his life. And now he has to go on this quest to put his life back together and to determine, is his life even worth living, because it's not recognizable. And that's his hero's journey that he must go on. So his inciting incident is that plane hitting his building and him jumping out of the window. And it happens really, really early on. It's the very first thing that you see in the show. Same thing in For Love or Money by Mitch Feinstein. The very first thing that happens in the show, he gets a phone call that it's right when the pandemic struck and he lost millions of dollars. First thing that happens, completely life-shattering, altering incident that now he has to figure out, what is my life really about? How can I be happy? How can I live a fulfilled life without the security of money, which I base my entire life around being a millionaire lawyer in Beverly Hills? Now what do I do? So that's his journey that he must go on to discover happiness and security after that inciting incident. Or we have Carla Delaney in Voices, where in the first scene of the show, she's in a voiceover session and is getting verbally abused by the producers in that session. And we really see her struggling to find her voice, and the intensity of the abuse gets so strong that she has to make a decision, and we pause the action and go on the journey of discovering her voice. Where did she lose it? How can she find it again? So that's another example of an inciting incident. So like I said, you want to introduce this as early as possible, but making sure you have enough context and exposition so that the audience knows how to handle this inciting incident. If we do it before we know enough about the protagonist, or if we can't glean that information from other clues we're getting, then we don't really understand the stakes of the inciting incident. For instance, with Johnny's show, with the plane hitting the building, we don't really need a whole lot of context to understand that is not a good situation for anyone. It doesn't matter who you are. But then in the next beat of the show, we immediately find out he's a masseuse. He's an actor. We learn more specifics about him to understand how possibly losing the ability to massage people or the ability to act and do things like that would be really detrimental. So then we build the stakes in the next moment after the inciting incident. But it isn't always the very first thing that happens. So Heather Dowling in Fertile, we set up the exposition. Yes, Heather's on this call today. We set up a lot of the exposition first with our protagonist, Jenny, and Gloria, who is her neighbor and her friend who's helping her navigate getting pregnant. And in the beginning, it just seems like, okay, they're having a little bit of trouble, Jenny and her husband getting pregnant, but we haven't really introduced the inciting incident, which is finding out that she has polycystic ovary syndrome, which is a game changer, because once that happens, then the plot starts to thicken and it's, okay, well, now what do we do? Now we have to step outside of our comfort zone and explore, different things like IVF and what is it called? Acupuncture and different things that really stretch Jenny's comfort level, who's our protagonist of the show. And that's another thing. Your inciting incident impacts your protagonist. It's not just something random that happens to a side character or a group of people. It specifically shakes up the life of your protagonist, your hero or your heroine of this journey, and gets your plot moving forward and your stakes starting to be raised. So that's a little bit about what an inciting incident is. Now, I'm going to give you 8 minutes in just a moment. And what I want you to do is think about your life in terms of what happened at any point in your life. And maybe it just happened. You might have just experienced your inciting incident. So you're living in the aftermath of it right now. Or maybe it happened a long time ago and you're now on the other side of that particular inciting incident. But think about your life in those terms. Did you have a divorce? Did you lose a job or lose a loved one or lose a relationship or get an invitation to do something really scary? Some sort of inciting incident from your own life that was a game changer, that sent you on a completely different path than what you thought you were going to go down, that changed things for you. So I want you to think about that. I'm going to give you 8 minutes, and I just want you to write freely about that moment. And this is a messy first draft. We're not trying to get anything right. We're really just brainstorming about what could that inciting incident be. And I also want you to be thinking about, how was your life before that? Who were you before that? And how was your life before that? And if you're writing a piece that is not autobiographical, that's fine. You can apply the same things to whoever the protagonist or the hero, heroine of your journey is. These same rules apply. All right, I'm going to give you 8 minutes, and I'd love for you to just write about your inciting incident. I will let you know when your time is up. A little under 2 minutes left, 2 minutes. Okay, please wrap up your writing. Hopefully that got your creative brain churning a little bit about the possible inciting incidents to pick between for your solo show and decide on the one that seems like the right fit. And if you have any thoughts or questions about inciting incident, or you want to delve a bit deeper into that, you can always reach me at soringsoloartist@gmail.com and get the conversation going. Okay, so I put in the chat a lot of announcements happening with Soaring Solo, lots of exciting things coming up. My next free solo theater class, The Art of Creating the One-Person Play, is happening on Zoom on Saturday, July 17th, 10 a.m. Pacific time, noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. You can sign up for that at soaringSoloStudios.com under events and free class, and then you will get the Zoom link. Also, we have the July Creating Captivating Characters Intensive is going strong right now. It's sold out, but we do have availability in August. So I'm gonna let Heather Dowling, who's an award-winning solo artist and Soaring Solo instructor, tell you about it because she is our lead teacher for that experience.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Happy Friday. Yeah, I love teaching creating captivating characters. It's an absolute joy to help solo artists and writers discover how they can create their show in partnership with characterization. So a lot of times people think, well, I have to be careful how I write my show because I can't play characters. I know that was me in the beginning. I was like, I can't do characters. And then my first show, I ended up playing 40 characters. Because what just helped me to discover, and what now I want to help you discover, is that a lot of times finding the people and characters who would be a critical part of telling your story, whatever that may be, a lot of times as you play with them, they will instruct you what there is to say. They actually help you discover the writing. They help you discover the depth of your story and different points of view that make it impactful on the audience and impactful for you as well in discovering what you really want to say. So it's also technical. So for someone like me who's like, oh God, I can't play characters, and here's all the reason why. It's also about the practical elements of what does it look like on stage to become a character or many, many characters inside of telling your story. And it's a lot of fun. It's such a fun discovery to find that so many of the expressions and voices and behaviors that come out of you can bring to life a whole cast of people that you'll have your audience fall in love with. I mean, I've had people come up to me and say, hey, that one guy in that one scene, he was hot. And I'm like, you know, that was me, right? The whole time, just me up there. I mean, it's a lot of fun when you can start to characterize something that comes alive for people in their imagination. So Yes, we'd love to have you there in August. It doesn't matter where you are with your show. We take people from if they're at the very beginning and starting to consider, all the way through to having something completed and they're just wanting to refine their relationship to character. Wherever you're at, we'll meet you there and make sure you get some good stuff. So write to Jess, get on the list.
Yes, thank you, Heather. Yes, well said. And that's happening Wednesday evenings on Zoom. So that's August 11th, 18th, and 25th, 7 p.m. Pacific time. And it's $149 for all 3 weeks. And you get a jam-packed curriculum guide that I wrote based on my 20 plus years of experience in this field. So that alone is worth the money, if I do say so myself. It's a really great guide. So you can email me at soaringsoloartist@gmail.com for more information about that. And I also do one-on-one coaching and power pair sessions with you, another artist, and myself. I do small groups with 6 solo artists and myself, where it's kind of like a solo artist writer's room, which is really fun. So we have those different offerings as well. You're welcome to email me about those as well. And then I'm really excited. I'm launching a virtual reading series starting in this fall and going through the spring of 2022, where we're going to be showcasing a bunch of new solo work and solo work in progress. That's what a reading is. So if you want to put a meaningful stake in the ground and share your script with a virtual audience and get some feedback before you add the bells and whistles of tech, before you go through memorizing it and all of those things, then the revealed virtual reading series is going to be a great fit for you, because it's high enough stakes to work toward, but it's not as scary as the world premiere. So email me for more information about that and let me know if you're interested and we can talk details. Let's see what else. I already told you at the beginning, Isolate, Meditate, Create, which was the free experience we did on Wednesday mornings during the pandemic, which infuses meditation and visualization and writing. That is available on my YouTube channel. I put the link to that in my in the chat, but you can find me on YouTube, Soaring Solo LLC. Yeah, there's like 120 videos plus a bunch of other tutorials about solo theater, so knock yourself out. And then the next FREEWrite Friday is July 30th. So just RSVP on my website and get your link, your Zoom link, by doing that. And then tonight is a free performance of Mama-isms by Sonia Jackson. It's a phenomenal one-woman show that I'm so honored to direct. And Sonia plays a mama who has many tips about motherhood and just being a good human. And it's comedic and heartwarming and wonderful. And she plays a slew of characters, a little bit of multimedia, but mostly it's just a simply told, heartwarming one-woman show. And that is at the Santa Monica Playhouse, but it is streaming. So you can go to my website. I believe it's under upcoming events, solo shows, and you can find the link to tune in tonight as it streams on YouTube. And that is happening at 6 p.m. Pacific time. All right, I think that is everything. I'm not taking questions on a FREEWrite Friday, but feel free to email me any questions that you might have, soaringsoloartist@gmail.com. I will leave the chat up for a little bit longer for you all to say hi to each other and jot down any of the announcements you might have. All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.